What's up, everybody? My name is Jesse, aka your very own one and only Chi-Town Smart, and today I got a special upload for you guys. I got a few things I want to talk about, which is everything that I have so far on Scott D'Amore. Why was Scott D'Amore fired? Who will be taking his place? What does an integration with Anthem even look like? Who's running creative? Was anyone actually offered a release? We have all that and more in today's video. Thank you guys so much for being here with me today. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because you never know when I might do an upload, guys. So make sure you also turn on all notifications to stay up to date on anything I may have coming up in the future. As the dust settles, you guys, as the dust settles and all of this drama that we have going on in TNA, and that is not a statement that is normally made about TNA drama. Normally everything is, for the most part, on point, going down the line that it's supposed to be going. Everything usually flows the way it should without any kind of crazy drama. Well, this week we got a little bit of the crazy because with everything else going on in the wrestling world, now we're all sitting and wondering what happened to Scott D'Amore. Well, we have information from Mike Johnson at PWI Insiders, and as the dust settles on the Scott D'Amore firing, here's what they have to say. First and foremost, they're putting out there that TNA is not going away, which is the biggest thing that's on everyone's mind. Are they being sold? Are they closing the doors? What is going on with TNA Wrestling? PW Insider is reporting that TNA is not going away. So that is the absolute best news. It doesn't make anyone here happy about what's going on, but at least we have that. One question they received from a few viewers is whether this was just the beginning of Anthem doing away with TNA. That is not the case, they are told. Anthem is fully prepared to keep moving forward with the promotion. Remember, the company was prepared to make big offers to Will Ospreay, who told PW Insider that it almost made him reconsider going to AEW. It also made offers to CM Punk as well. That means that Anthem was and is ready to move forward and spend money on the right talent or event. That is good news within itself. If you are a long-term TNA fan / Impact fan, when you hear news like this, the first thing that comes to mind is, are they closing the doors? Were they sold? These are all, reasonable questions. So first and foremost, they're staying open for business. That's great. But the question we all want to know is, why was Scott D'Amore fired? All right. There are a lot of people assuming something salacious happened to lead to Scott D'Amore's exit. But PW Insider were told that by sources close to Anthem, that is not the case. While no one is clear as to why this decision was made over the last day or so, the belief seems to settle on the idea that Lynn Asper, the head of Anthem, and D'Amore came to a crossroad where they disagreed on how TNA should be operated, and only one person was going to win that butting of the heads, and of course that's going to be Asper. The word making the rounds over the last day or so is that at some point in recent weeks, D'Amore approached Anthem with an offer to buy TNA outright from Anthem, said to have been backed by a letter with a major banking institution, but it was rebuffed. They have heard from some on the Anthem side that it was seen as a legitimate offer that was worthy of consideration, but the decision was made not to accept. If Anthem wanted to do away with TNA, they would have just sold it off to D'Amore or sought bids from WWE or AEW. There's been no such evidence of that. So, from what everyone is gathering right now, this is not the only place I've heard this, but yeah, apparently Scott D'Amore tried to actually buy outright TNA. And for all intents and purposes, it would seem that I don't think anyone would be opposed to that, because everyone that I've seen so far is extremely shook and not happy about Scott D'Amore no longer being there in the company. They go on to say, if he was making an offer to buy the asset and walk away with it, that means D'Amore knew the clock was ticking on the job and wanted to try to keep something he felt was important to him personally. Much like Eric Bischoff once trying to buy WCW, D'Amore made an effort, but it didn't happen. We're told D'Amore was aware at least a week to 10 days ago the change was coming. So this wasn't a shock firing out of nowhere, even if it was announced yesterday and shocked everyone. This was something coming over several weeks as we had first gotten word of it a few weeks ago, and we're working on confirming the story. I said yesterday, but it was a couple of days ago. Scott D'Amore no longer being with the company was completely out of left field for all of us who watch. Even for some who don't, it was still a little bit shocking because there's been nothing but positive vibes coming from the TNA locker room in regards to Scott D'Amore. They go on to say, we are told there was lots of meetings to plan out how things would work post D'Amore, and that Anthem took a look at everything internally they could improve upon by integrating TNA under their entertainment wing. This wasn't some knee-jerk reaction to something evil that happened, but hasn't stopped some from assuming that because Vince McMahon was exposed, that something surely happened with D'Amore, even if that's not rooted in reality. So I heard those rumors over the last couple of days about he had some kind of connection with Vince. Reported nothing about it because they were just that. They were rumors. Only reason I'm mentioning it here because it showed up in Mike Johnson's article. All right, but it's good to hear that as of now, there is nothing nefarious. There is nothing scandalous going on. It just seems to be a legit bumping of heads. And apparently it just got to the part where Anthem has decided to part ways. All right. His predecessor, the person that will be taking Scott D'Amore's place in TNA, is Anthony Ciccone. All right. And asking around in the entertainment industry about Ciccone, we were told that he was he has the reputation for being a stand person and a really smart executive who will listen to feedback as opposed to just bulldozing the room, as one person said. He was a top executive at The Score in Canada when WWE moved there. So he has some working knowledge of what pro wrestling offers to its partners. And we are told that he has been overseeing some of the internal changes coming to Access TV in the weeks ahead. We have been giving nothing but positive comments about him from those who have had past experience working with Ciccone. Although he has never run a pro wrestling company before, the expectation is that he will lean in on the expertise of others and consider their thoughts. That is good to hear. That is good news in the sense of if this is the hand that we're dealt. All right. I'm sure in a perfect world, I'm sure that everyone wants Scott D'Amore back in this company in some form or another, whether it be in the position that he had or a different position. I've yet to see anyone that was not upset about Scott D'Amore no longer being with TNA Wrestling. All right. So what exactly does an integration with Anthem even look like? All right. PW Insider is told that there's already talk of cross-pollinating TNA stars on Access TV programming and possibly even in future films distributed by Anthem's Gravitas Ventures. Anthem believes that folding TNA under the entertainment banner will bring them more opportunities for the brand to maximize money for each side. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea how big Anthem's entertainment company is, what kind of reach they have, or what kind of exposure that they plan on giving the talent there. I mean, I can't sit here and say this is a bad thing or great thing, but we do know one thing for sure is that we want Scott D'Amore back. All right. I'm quite sure that whatever plans that Anthem had for TNA going forward, they could have been done going through Scott D'Amore. Now, unless this was just some complete impasse where Scott put an ultimatum down and said he wasn't down with this and he wasn't going to do that, and then he forced their hand to let him go. Again, we don't know the details. We just don't know the details as to what exactly took place in this discussion between Anthem Sports and Scott D'Amore. So, who's running creative? All right, let's see what Mike Johnson has to say about that. The current belief among TNA talent is that the remainder of Scott D'Amore's creative team and support staff will remain in place. Gail Kim and Tommy Dreamer ran the initial Zoom meeting yesterday, or a couple of days ago, informing the talent of D'Amore's exit. Those are two veterans who command respect with the talent. There were no exits yesterday or today either, which means R.D. Evans remains with creative. Lou D'Angeli remains in marketing and working with logistics and etc. All right. So again, looks like a bunch of we're not sure. Is Gail Kim and Tommy Dreamer gonna run creative? We're not sure. We're not 100% sure. No, nothing has been laid out as far as concrete just yet. But from what we are reading here, it would appear that Ciccone will lean on the expertise of Tommy Dreamer and the Gail Kim, which cannot be a bad thing. Was anyone offered a release? So I did hear some notes about the story yesterday that the talent were told that if they wanted a release, depending on who it was, to come talk to the company and they would consider it. Let's see what Mike Johnson has uncovered. He says, I don't know where this started, but in talking to sources in Anthem and the TNA locker room, we are told that was never brought up in conversation in either of the company meetings yesterday. It's possible a talent, while frustrated, blurted out they wanted a release, but we are told that no rep for the company issued an offer for anyone who is signed to be released from their current deal. Could someone request and receive one? It's possible, just like any other company would handle talent like that on a one-by-one basis. In terms of a blanket release, it appears that is not happening. All right. Is TNA moving to Canada? Is Nashville office closing? Apparently, these are questions that were being asked over the course of the last couple of days. TNA sources insist that the Nashville office is not going anywhere, and there's always a possibility they could tape at Skyway Studios again, as they have in the past. Anthem is a Canadian company, and they obviously get good tax breaks locally for utilizing Canadian staff and talent. But if there's a plan to pull up stakes and only run Canada, that would pretty much be throwing in the towel for TNA, for building TNA and even further. And while there is a possibility, I don't get the sense that that's where Anthem is headed in the game right now. So that's good news in the sense of I don't understand why anybody would wonder that. I don't understand why anyone would even consider, hey, we can just up and move to Canada, you know, exclusively and just leave everyone else out. That's not a way to help better the company in any way at all. It just hinders yourself. So what's next for TNA? TNA has the No Surrender pay-per-view and a TV taping in New Orleans at the end of the month. They are running Windsor, Ontario, which may lead to some awkwardness with the live crowd. But hey, we'll find out. And they're going to Philadelphia in March. We are told that the company was working on their game plan for April and beyond this week. There was a hope among some they could pivot to live TV on Access eventually. Whether that happens or not, the remaining team will push forward to create content, and if all works out, continue to maintain the consistency TNA has brought to fans in the last few years. Everyone moves forward and continues to do their jobs and eventually becomes used to the new normal, just as all of us would if and when there are changes at our places of business. This is very demoralizing. It's never a great thing, and no one is happy to see anyone lose their job. But it makes it much worse when someone who is widely considered the heart and soul of an organization be let go. It only brings down morale. Anthem letting go of Scott D'Amore, they are already creating an uphill battle for themselves with anything they have planned on doing going forward with the company. I hope they have something in place because as of right now, from what I can see in reactions online, the fans are not happy. The talent is not happy, and the morale is just low. I mean, you went from being that company with no issues, no major issues. Everybody has issues. No major issues to we don't know what's going to happen with this company next. I cannot think of one individual firing from TNA that would have impacted them more than this one. This was a bad move. Again, not knowing the details as to exactly what it was that went down with Scott D'Amore and Anthem Sports. What can I say, man? We'll find out more as we get more information. I will make sure I will relay it to you guys, and hopefully, I don't know. I tell you what, I hope Scott D'Amore ends up in AEW. I really, really do. I think Tony Khan needs the help. I think Scott D'Amore knows exactly what he's doing. And I think Scott D'Amore will be the perfect addition to creatively get AEW back on the track that they need to be on. We will see. Guys, that is it for today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications because, once again, you never know when you're gonna get an upload from me. My name is Jesse, aka your very own one and only Chi-Town Smart, and I will see you all next time. Peace.